Tonight on Let It Rip, you may remember Wayne County Judge Wade McCree.
No shame in my game.
The judge who was recently caught up in a sexting scandal has a whole new controversy on his docket.
Judge, you said you'd give her anything if she aborted the baby, so why'd you call the prosecutor on her?
Sex, lies, text messages, and a baby on the way. It's the investigation that will have Metro Detroit talking. Plus, the fight over right to work takes Lansing by storm. Some call it nothing more than union busting.
They want working families to have lower income, less security. That's what this is about.
But the governor says it's about jobs.
We have hardworking people in Michigan, and this is about giving workers choice.
Time to let it rip. Now, we're going to dispense with the usual introductions. You know consultant Steve Hood, attorney Charlie Langton. We begin tonight with another explosive investigation by Fox 2's Charlie LaDuff. And Charlie, what did you find?
Well, here's what I think I found. A competent judge done it by his appetites, and now he's compromised his family, his career, and the court itself. Take a look.
Judge, you said you'd give her anything if she aborted the baby, so why'd you call the prosecutor on her? What did she do wrong? Sir, you're a criminal, Judge. Is what you did criminal?
Wait, let's start in the middle of this story. Two people from work hook up, they make a baby. It happens. But in this case, they're not colleagues. She stood in his courtroom as a complaining witness in a child support case against her ex. And he was the judge deciding the case. That's creepy, and it's probably illegal.
Hot dog. Yep, that's me.
You remember Third Circuit Court Judge Wade McCree, the buff barrister we caught back in April texting nude pics of himself to a female bailiff?
Yeah, no shame in my game.
His performance was so bizarre that the Michigan Supreme Court took the highly unusual step of censuring him for bringing shame to the profession and acting like a total McCreep.
She said she got it from me? Is that through him or she told you?
Through him.
Oh, so it's still hearsay. Oh.
Well, this isn't hearsay. In the middle of the judge's Supreme Court investigation, His Honor met up with her, Janine Lachey Mott, a woman who had dragged her ex-boyfriend into court on felony charges that he was ducking out on his child support.
I met him as a litigant, a complaining witness in his courtroom, and he stayed around after the case was over, and that's when the second half of the flirting started, and we went from there and our relationship picked up. It went from being a summer fling and just something to do to falling in love, promises of marriage, me getting pregnant, us buying a house together, name it.
Things move fast, Janine says. McCree told her his marriage was loveless. Janine showed us hundreds of messages the two exchanged over the months, including this one where McCree asked her to keep the relationship under the covers. McCree: my judicial tenure commission has me nervous. As you might expect, I have to be real careful until this matter's put to rest. You are the complaining witness on a case that is before me. Naturally, if it got out that we were seeing each other before your baby daddy's case closed, everybody could be in deep shit. Why you want to spend time with a man like me remains a mystery. But if you'll have me, then as Bill Withers said, use me up. Smooches. The text came from McCree's phone number. He still has that number, and this is his voicemail.
I am unable to take this call at this time.
Judge McCree, it's Charlie LaDuff. I'm needing to talk to you. That's them at a Wolverines game. And that's a check he wrote from his dead mother's estate to help her pay for the house. And these are texts between the two, plotting the punishment of Janine's ex, McCree. Okay, the math will be based on his failures since being placed on probation. But if you're right, the threat of jail will loosen his purse strings. Janine: okay, so let's go with what you proposed. Go to jail 150 days, release upon payment of $1,500, or get a tether and bring back within 30 days $2,500 or serve 9 months. Bonus: pay within 30 days, remove tether. Now back to us. What are we going to do after court Thursday? Janine's ex got tossed in the can, but justice was equal here because Janine's ex got a jail bed and Janine got the judge's bed. Listen to what she says they did after court.
The day of, we then go to his chambers as usual, whether I leave out the front door and he lets me up the back, but in chambers all of the time.
What, sex?
Yes. We have sex in his chambers very often.
Like on his desk?
On his desk, in the chair, the couch, you name it.
Fox 2 legal analyst Charlie Langton says this whole court's out of order.
this judge just got a little invitation from the Supreme Court to, hey, be a good judge just a little while ago, and he couldn't do that. Now, if there are charges, and I suspect there will be charges, certainly ethical charges, if not criminal charges, but the Supreme Court may get a second crack at this judge.
That's what the X says. And he's no lawyer.
Look at this. I mean, it's basically he's basically listening to her to set me up. It's set up. I can't believe this, man. This is my life right here. They played with my life. They played with my life.
Janine says Judge McCree promised to marry her. She even went with him to file the divorce papers. Then she got pregnant. And then she went to the OBGYN. Janine, have you been sleeping with anyone else during our relationship? Even oral sex? I'm asking now because they're going to run the test to know if the baby's at risk. And I'd rather hear it from you if I do, McCree. You have been my only partner since we encountered each other. So it was supposed to be happily ever after. Until, she says, McCree got cold feet. According to the text sent from McCree's phone, his wife found out about the baby and wouldn't grant him the divorce unless Janine aborted it. McCree: yeah, let's talk. I want, and does Laverne, this termination. You'll get whatever you want for it. I've been clear on that from the get-go. Whatever you want, you shall have. Janine: oh no. You act like I'm holding this over you. You asked me to get the abortion to help you in your divorce case.
What do you think people will think of you when they hear this?
I'm sure the same thing I would think watching the news story, that she knew what she was getting into messing with a married man. And that's pretty much it. She should have never got involved. She should have known he wasn't going to leave, the typical. And that's why it was a fling, something to do for the summer, and it turned into more with his promises. And of course I believed him with everything his actions. Showed me that he was leaving, he filed for divorce. I mean, there was nothing to say that we weren't moving forward.
Are you going to keep the child?
Yes. I never wanted to have the abortion in the first place.
So why did this woman come to us? Because last week, Judge McCree went to the Wayne County prosecutor, claiming Janine was stalking and extorting him. Judge McCree failed to mention his baby, the house, or the child support case to the investigators. Still, the investigators looked into it and found his complaints baseless. Hey, Judge, you have a moment?
No, I do not.
I want to talk to you about Janine Lachey.
Sorry, cannot do it.
Did you have a relationship with her while you had her case in front of you?
All matters are with the prosecutor's office, and I cannot have any conversations with you.
These are your text messages? You don't want to comment on these? Judge, you said you'd give her anything if she aborted the baby, so why'd you call the prosecutor on her? What did she do wrong? Sir, you're a criminal, Judge. Is what you did criminal? Hey, come on, talk to me, Judge. Come on, Judge.
You don't get 3 strikes and you're judge. You probably get 1. You certainly don't get 2. This guy is probably going to be gone.
And she's pregnant? Wow. What, he's going to be put on child support?
Well, tonight, Judge Wade McCree is not talking, but his mistress is talking to Charlie LaDuff. You sat down with this woman, and you have to wonder, was her motivation to do the right thing, or was it revenge?
Woman scorned. As you heard, she was promised the moon. She has a house she can't afford. She has his child in her body, and she feels alone, I think. And if he's not going to do the right thing, then she's going to let people know who and what he is.
Steve Hood, why am I not surprised that you know everybody involved in this story?
Tertiarily, I've met Janine on several occasions. Nice young lady. And I've actually seen her with the judge.
And apparently they were not clandestine or secretive about their relationship.
No. They didn't seem to be clandestine or secretive. But the bad thing about this is like when you Google Wade McCree, you get one entry on the father, which was he was the first appeals court judge in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals and the second African-American Solicitor General. You get that, one more little blurb on one of his writings, and then you get your original story of the text messages with the chest. What is happening here is young Wade McCree has defiled the history that was so hard fought by his father, and that is the sad thing about all of this. We're sitting here actually talking about it, and it didn't have to happen. And you got Janine saying they did it on the courtroom desk and all this stuff. This is salacious stuff we don't need to hear at 10:30 at night.
The question is Judge Wade McCree's career over, Charlie Lang?
I'd say it's very close to being over. First of all, there's ethical rules. A judge has to be totally independent. What really bothers me about this story is, listen, all the sex sounds all good and all, but the problem here is that Janine was participating in a judge's decision in a case. That's the problem. You can't have your girlfriend participate in a case. That violates every rule that I know of. And I tell you, it may be criminal if the prosecutor, and I'm sure the prosecutor is going to look into this to see if there's any obstruction of justice. You cannot give favoritism or go harsh or do anything that would violate your sense of independence. A judge has to be independent. This guy was not independent. It could be criminal.
And in that regard, I would think that the boyfriend, her first boyfriend, the father of her first child, might also have reason to sue.
He could very well sue.
He's looking for a lawyer. Yeah, he is.
Well, he should.
And to say that, look, that's right. I'm no bedroom peeper. It doesn't matter to me who he's sleeping with. I wouldn't report on it. But when he compromises the court, and there's a lot of problems in the Third Circuit Court. We know that. We've got Diane Hathaway in the Supreme Court. We've got her daughter there and her tax problems. We've got people getting out early. It's not about his sexual issues. It's about what he did with the court, what you're talking about. You besmirched it. You manipulate a law. Now, how can you sit there and pass judgment on young men and women looking to you as the moral, lodestar, for God's sake?
But the real tragedy is upon his family and his family's legacy. That's a bad thing. And, we don't see the kind of legacy he had in the African-American community as often as we should. I mean, his father was a truly great man. His mother was a truly great man.
There's an award named after him.
And you would also think that in the wake of the Kwame sex and tech scandal, that public officials would realize there are certain things that you don't do. You don't communicate via text.
And at some point in time, you watch the tape. But at some point in time, the judge, watching this show tonight, he's got to think about his job tomorrow. He might have to resign, and he should maybe do the right thing. And at this point in time, I would say, Judge, you've got to seriously think about resigning.
But now, many people say that this is a private matter. You're investigating a public official.
No, it's not. It went into the courtroom, and that's the story that I got here.
And then paid for by our tax dollars.
And then he hauled the prosecutor's office into it.
Don't forget that. He called the prosecutor
and didn't tell him the facts of what was going on. So he
lied to the prosecutor. That's another problem.
What do you mean stalking when this kind of business is going on? You know what I'm saying?
He's a judge. He's supposed to judge. His judgment is messed up.
Well, it's a sad day for his family, her family, and for Detroit. Hopefully, this will be sorted out very soon. Still to come, passionate protests in Lansing as Republican lawmakers push ahead with plans to turn Michigan into a right-to-work state. What does it all mean? We'll look at both sides of the issue next when Let It Rip returns.
I'm a member of 876, yeah.
And you're not. You're the only
He's president. He's president.
I am a member of
He's president of FSCA.
And your unions are both affiliated with my labor federation. That's right. I represent the two of you.
Okay.
You might check, please, sir.
Yep, test 1, 2, 3.
I pay my dues.
Okay.
I cancel my dues right now.
And of course, you're both an attorney and employer, you know, so.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Weather Authority, traffic.
There you go.
Fox 2 News.
Richard Mack, our new meteorologist.
Governor, you're picking a fight with labor here.
No, it's not picking a fight. I view this as solving an issue for Michigan workers.
These guys have lied to us every step of the way, and they're acting like cowards by pushing this through in the dark of night in lame duck.
He says this is leadership.
It's baloney.
The right to work debate taking center stage in Lansing. At the heart of the issue, should you be forced to pay union dues if you don't want to join the union? Welcome back to Let It Rip and the battle of the right to work. With us now, the president of the Metro Detroit AFL-CIO, Chris Mialakis. And he was among the protesters in Lansing today who tried to block the bill. The House passed it anyway, but he says the fight is not over. Right. Next to him, Brian Panderbacker, member of the United Auto Workers Union, a Ford worker who says it's unfair to force employees to join a union just to get a job. He supports right to work. But labor attorney Richard Mack says right to work is just another way for companies to cut wages and benefits at will. He represents a coalition of 32 unions in the city of Detroit. And then, of course, there's Charlie Langton, both an attorney and employer, who believes that right to work is a movement that cannot be stopped. Chris Mialakis, let me talk to you first, because you were in Lansing. Yes. Were you surprised at what happened by the police coming in, tear gassing people and pepper spraying people?
I have never seen anything like that before in my life. In the last couple of years, we've had a lot of protests up in Lansing, and the police are usually very respectful. They've always honored all of our First Amendment rights. They let thousands and thousands of people into the Capitol. Last year we had, 10,000 people in the Capitol one day, I think 15,000 another day, and they've always been very courteous. And this is the first time I've seen them that aggressive. They overstepped their bounds today. Not only did we have to file an injunction, our injunction was approved, and the state police still would not honor it. It's as if someone from above was telling them, ignore what the courts say and keep these people out of Lansing.
And by the way, the police say they just use chemicals. We don't know what chemicals they use, but we assumed it was pepper spray.
Right.
But now, I have to ask you this. I understand that you, the unions, and the governor were negotiating at some point, and for years the governor said he would never sign right-to-work legislation because it was so divisive, and yet this day he said he had to have it done by the end of the month. Do you feel duped?
Absolutely. I feel like the governor has said for years, ever since he got elected, it's not on my agenda, it's not on my agenda. Now all of a sudden it's on his agenda. Why does he want to sign into law a law that would lower our wages and benefits by $1,500 per worker, whether you're a union member or not? Right to work states make less money, they have less benefits and less retirement security. Why would he want to bring that to Michigan, let alone this divisive fight that we're going to be going through for the next 2 years?
Well, Brian, I see you shaking your head. Some people consider you a hero for defying your union, but other people see you as a traitor. I mean, how do you see this issue?
Well, right to work is a freedom issue. I shouldn't be forced to pay a third party to work for Ford Motor Company. I love working at Ford. I shouldn't have to pay somebody else to do it.
Well, Richard.
Freedom issue. But Brian, you get the benefits that union negotiates for you. In your contract, you have a retirement plan. You have health care, sick time, vacation time. Right to work basically says, because by law, unions are obligated to represent employees in a union shop, whether or not they pay dues. So what ends up happening is you have a right to freeload. So you have workers who may not pay, they keep their $40 a month. So I'd ask Brian, would you say that for all of those workers who decide not to pay their dues to keep their $40 in a month, should they give up all of those benefits that the union has negotiated for them? So they have to come to me and hire us, hire staff to go. They need that costs money. Would you give up all those benefits?
The union is the party that insists on being the sole representative of the entire workforce.
That's false.
If it were up to me, I would gladly subject myself to different pay and benefits and not fall under that exclusivity clause. The union's the one that insists on that. Frankly, if right to work passed passes and is signed into law, takes effect, I'll continue to pay my dues. But I feel like I'll be inside the union and have more of a voice because the union will be forced to listen to me, because then if I resign, I can take my money with me, and that's what this is all about, money and the power that that money buys.
All right, let me add something here. A union is a democracy. You already have those rights. You're already on the inside. You are the UAW. If you have problems with how your union is run, you have a voice. And every union is a democracy. We all have a say in how our dues dollars are being spent. One other thing, though, if you don't like how your union is conducting its affairs, you have a right to withdraw. You know, no one is forced to join a union in this country. That's been the case for over 60 years.
I can withdraw from the union, but I still have to pay what they call a service fee or an agency fee, and that's what it's all about to the union bosses, the money.
What that service fee is what the union is required to do by law is to break down how much they pay lawyers, how much they pay their staff to negotiate, how much they pay to arbitrate. So, Brian, when you get fired, you file your grievance and come to that same union. That they have to say, Brian, we're only going to charge you this amount of money. This is the $50 is the full dues. We're only going to charge you 40 or 35. That's the service fee that you're talking about.
Charlie, let me turn to you now. Look, the supporters say that Right to Work will bring more jobs to Michigan. Opponents say, though, that Right to Work will lower wages and benefits for all workers.
Well, I mean, there may be some truth to probably both of those, though. This is a very narrow issue to me, and I'm a little surprised that it's so divisive. I'm a little surprised that we're even talking about this. Benefits are not affected by Right to Work. The real problem here, I think, is political. I think that a lot of conservative people really don't like the fact that conservative union members in particular are paying dues to a union that lobbies for more liberal causes. And I think that that's the real issue here. However, saying that, Right to Work today will not affect that. The union theoretically can still lobby for whatever it wants. And the unions, if they're honest about it, they do lobby for liberal causes. That's the problem here. And that's
Charlie, I'll have a little more
influence.
I'll have a little more influence inside my union once Right to Work takes effect, because then if I resign from the union, my money goes with me, and that's what the union bosses are really concerned about. The money. No, I still have to pay a service fee or an agency fee if I resign.
I have a question, Charlie.
You're an attorney.
What if I asked you to represent me, but by law I wasn't required to pay you? Would you want to be an attorney of the state?
That's a real problem. That's why this Right to Work is kind of silly.
Right.
I mean, the problem is that if the company decides to have a union, the membership can get all the workers get all the benefits and then have to pay for it. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
That's what's bothering me. This whole right to work issue. It doesn't really make sense.
Well, of course, this is a hot topic on our Facebook page as well. Time to check it now with Monica Gale for a look at what viewers are saying. Monica.
Well, Huell, our Facebook page has been on fire all day over this issue of Right to Work, and the comments are still rolling in tonight. Frank says, welcome to the haves and have-nots. This is what Right to Work will deliver. Jeannie writes, it's about time the workers of Michigan have a choice on whether they want to pay their hard-earned paychecks to the Democrats or make their own political choices without fear of retribution from the unions. And Chris had this to say, no matter if you like it or not, you have to agree the way it was passed was shady. And finally tonight, Candy weighing in with this. Rich Republicans sticking it to the people once again. Big mistake. Hope President Obama refuses to give our crook of a governor any money for his bridge. I'll send it back to you in the panel, Huell.
All right, Monica, and let's begin with that, because we're hearing tonight, I don't know if it's true, that some union leaders are asking President Barack Obama to withhold federal funds for the governor's new bridge to Canada and for regional transportation unless the president can get the Republicans in Michigan to back down. Is that true? Is that true?
Here's the problem with that.
That's what
is that happening?
Here's the
They
problem
make threats and try to
false.
intimidate.
Here's the problem with what was so problematic about making this bill. You introduce it and pass it on the same day, so hastily, under cover of darkness, ignoring court orders, because there are federal grants which prohibit giving money to cities, to states, like 13C
So when the president comes here Monday,
if they are
the unions going to advise him to withhold those federal funds?
Well, look, the problem is in doing it so hastily, they have not checked with the Department of Transportation. Are you going to lose your 13C dollars as a result of ignoring collective bargaining rights?
Prop 2.
This issue would have never come up in
It's an issue of not
Governor
checking
Snyder's
with the federal government.
This issue would have never come up in Governor Snyder's first term had it not been for Prop 2. I think we should call the Right to Work bill the Bob King Right to Work bill, because it never would have been introduced had Bob King not put Prop 2 on the ballot. He spent $20 to $30 million of union members' money to get Prop 2 on the ballot and then to promote it. It was defeated terribly, and that's why we have Right to Work legislation moving now, thanks to Prop 2.
I don't agree with that, but since when is revenge the proper motivation?
It's not revenge.
You just said
the unions brought the issue, the fight to the governor.
And let us be aware, this is still not a law yet.
Right.
It's still going through the process, although it may arrive on the governor's desk before the end of this month. Gentlemen, we thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Coming up next, Joanne Watson, Detroit City Councilwoman, making national headlines. She says Detroiters voted for President Barack Obama, so he should bail out the city from its financial crisis. We'll find out what Metro Detroiters have to say about that when Charlie takes the show on the road.
That's what you do. That's what you do.
Yes.
I'm going to change batteries.
Many fans.
Joanne Watson said because a lot of people in Detroit supported the president, that the president should now come back to Detroit and help bail out Detroit. What do you think about that?
I agree and disagree.
Why should we the taxpayers, American taxpayers, bail out Detroit?
Because we broke right now. We need money.
I'm Republican, but I am totally for the city of Detroit.
Get the dollars, put a payback plan together, and show how you're going to use that money. That's good. That's a hand up, not a handout. Councilwoman, you're crazy.
Maybe Dave Bing should go to Washington and say, hey, Mr. President, we need some money. Do you think that's good?
Well, that's the thing. We have not because we ask not.
We have old mayors that, has came to the city and messed up Detroit. I mean, people talk about Kwame, but I think Kwame actually kind of helped the city.
If you help everyone out, then it comes back in good karma.
We give a lot of money to overseas, to other countries. Maybe we should put some of that money right in Detroit.
No. If we are supporting terrorism and people who want to overthrow their governments, yes, we are spending too much.
So we should support Detroit before terrorists.
Yes.
That money that goes overseas stays here.
get our own backyard in order.
I think that would be a good idea, yeah, because they do need the help.
Would you support your tax dollars going to Detroit?
No.
What's wrong with bailing out Detroit? You bailed out other people, so why not bail out Detroit?
President Obama, I voted for you. Will you please help out the citizens of Detroit? We love you. We voted for you. Help us like we helped you. That's it.
And that's it for this edition of Let It Rip. Thanks for watching.
Bye now.
The Let It Rip discussion continues online. Sound off with your opinion on myfoxdetroit.com, the Fox 2 Facebook fan page, or Twitter. We might even use your comments on the air.